Beautiful summer night out here in my backyard. Sitting under a tree here that my wife planted when we first moved in here. It was basically a little bush. Now it's a huge... You can't even see the whole thing. It goes way up above my head. There's birds and stuff just chirping away in there. It was a little twig when we planted it. Anyway, it's a beautiful night. I have to kind of be quiet because it's about 5, well, maybe 4:30 in the morning. I hope you can hear me okay, because I know there's an air conditioner going over there, and it was kind of noisy. So I'm just sitting out here. It's very hot, very muggy this summer. We've had absolutely almost no rain at all. Grass is dying everywhere. It just won't rain. The sky needs to open up and dump on us for about a week. So I'm hoping I should do never mind the swell dance. Maybe I should do a rain dance. Anyway, what was I gonna? Okay, oh yeah. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I think it was about 3 weeks ago. My wrench out of the way. About 3 weeks ago, I did an experiment with bottling some beer, where I bottled one bottle of beer clear and another bottle of beer cloudy. Same batch of beer. I had it in a 1 gallon jug, and I bottled the first bottle with the beer very clear, and then I gyrated the beer after that and bottled the second bottle. You saw that in my Homebrew Wednesday video a few weeks back. I think about 3 weeks ago. And so the experiment, I let the bottles ferment for 2 weeks at room temperature. They're exactly the same bottles, and I used 3 carbonation drops in each bottle, so they were both done exactly the same. Same beer, same bottles, same temperature, same amount of carbonation drops. And the results of the experiment are in. Let's take a look. There's the pencil mark I put on the bottle. See what kind of a pop we get. See, it's not very poppy. Okay, let's give her a pour. This is the one that was clear. The beer was clear when I bottled it 2 weeks ago. Actually, three weeks ago now. Yeah. Let's give it a test. It's very undercarbonated. Very undercarbonated. As a matter of fact, it's nearly flat. Alright, this is the one without the pencil mark. This is the one where I stirred the sediment back into the beer before I bottled. As you can see, you probably can't see it, but there's not a lot of sediment at the bottom of the bottle. I didn't show the other one, I forgot. Let's see what this one does. Oh. I think we know the answer. I think we know the answer. The results to that experiment are that the clear beer carbonates much slower than the non-clear beer. And look, it's still clear. It cleared in the bottle. And there's lots of carbonation, as you can see. Okay, and that's the results I've gotten many times. This is why I did this. Let's give it a taste. Very carbonated. Okay, so that's what I have found over the years. That's why I don't do secondaries. If I do, I don't do them for very long, because if I'm going to bottle my beer, kegging is one thing. If you're going to keg your beer, course, you want it to be as clear as possible. You're going to be drinking it out of a keg. You want it to come out as fairly clear, if you're concerned about that. But if you're bottling it, you're going to want some yeast still in there for purposes of carbonation. Otherwise, if there's no yeast in the beer, or very little, then it's going to take forever. So anyway, there's the results, and that's what I found. If I bottle my beer, I usually don't do a secondary. I bottle it while it's still cloudy, because you need that. You need that yeast in there. Unless you're going to put it away for 6 months, then maybe it'll be okay. But after 3 weeks, 2 weeks in room temperature, 1 week in the fridge, that's what happened. So there you go. Now, the other thing I was going to talk about today is something that I've heard, a term that I've heard called brew lore. And it's like folklore, except it's brewing, home brewing, so we call it brew lore. I forget where I heard this from. But I think there's a lot of it out there, like myths surrounding home brewing beer. Stuff that, gets circulated around that isn't necessarily true, or there's maybe some truth to it, but not as much truth as some people think there is. And so, there's been a lot of little things over the years that I've read on forums and heard people say, and I've tried the things that people say, well, you can't do that, it won't work, and I've tried them and they work. One of the things was using brown sugar as an adjunct in beer to add flavor and alcohol content, add some fermentability to the beer. So if you're doing like a beer kit, or even anything, any kind of style of beer, of brewing, I threw brown sugar in one a couple of years ago. Some guy on a forum was going on about this Craig Tube guy. He's going to put brown sugar in his beer. It's not going to work. Brown sugar's too complicated, too complex a sugar. It won't ferment. The yeast is going to be stressed out. Yada yada yada. And they went on and on and on about this thread on Homebrew Talk or whatever. I think that's the forum it was in. About how I was crazy to do this and it wasn't going to work. And of course, it worked beautifully. And people have done it since then. I've heard them say that they thought it was a great tasting beer as well. There's things like that. I mean, even surrounding like yeast. I'm making home brew. There's lots of wonderful dry yeasts out there that are fantastic for making beer. And lots of us people use them. Liquid yeasts are expensive. $12.95 for a vial of White Labs liquid yeast for me. I'm not buying it. I'm not paying that price. And I have to order it. It's not even in stock. I have to actually tell them ahead of time and they'll order it because they know people don't buy it around here. They're using the dry yeasts and it works. I just think that, a lot of us are making great beer with simple ingredients, dry yeast, beer kits, liquid malt extract, and all grain. And, doing these things that people say you shouldn't do. And the results are coming out quite acceptable, quite nice, quite good. So, I guess the moral of the story is, before I go, is just watch out, okay? Watch out. I don't post in forums. The only forum I post in is the 17brewcrew.com forum. I do read other forums. I've been chastised, criticized, bashed. Some of the stuff that people have said about me in forums in the past. Not necessarily these days, but before I started doing partials and all grain, when I was just doing beer kits, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff people will say. But then slowly they started watching more of my videos and they started saying, well, he's not such a bad guy, But yeah, I've had some pretty weird stuff said about me. It doesn't bother me. It helps to YouTube tune your content. If people are saying stuff negative about it, then you're like, okay, maybe I have to fix something. I certainly don't mind criticism at all, as long as it's polite. But I do post in the 17 Brew Crew forum. I think that the more of us that get involved with that, the better the forum's going to be. And I think you should get involved early so you can get your spot in there and be one of the pioneers of what I think is going to be a huge success. Not just the forum, but the whole 17 Brew Crew entity itself. I happen to think that it's going to go places, but that's just me. I'm just saying. I think that it's going to. So get yourself involved in it as early as you can, and join our crew, join our guys. Get into the forum, ask your questions, and you'll get answers. That's what we're here for. Anyway, I'm out of here. I got to go and edit this video and do some other work. So cheers. See, it's dripping all over. You guys who, all you do is tell me that it just rains all the time. It's always raining. It's raining all the time. Every day it rains. You know what? Send some of that rain my way. Because I'm telling you right now, things are dying. And the only reason any of all this is alive is because we water it ourselves. The farmers are having trouble with the drought. Food prices are going to skyrocket because they have to, not only are they losing crops, but they're going to have to water their own crops. They have to pay for the water. They pass that expense on to you and me. And they have to feed their livestock with food that needs water. And food that's dying because there's no rain. And it's upsetting to me because, I mean, I don't know. This is like the third year in a row we've had a drought. I think maybe the fourth year in a row. That Ontario has had, at least southern Ontario, has had this terrible drought to the point where people have to water their own grass, and you're not allowed to water it every day. There's a bylaw. Once the drought gets as bad as it is here, you can't, if you, only one side of the street can water one day, and then the other side of the street can water the next day, and back and forth like that. And you can only water for like an hour at a time or something. I mean, you know, who's gonna, if a policeman drives by and sees, you know, you're outside of those guidelines, you could get a fine. Send me some rain, please. Anybody who needs to get rid of some rain, I'll take it. Cheers, guys. 17. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you Friday. And more videos are obviously going to be coming up in the coming weeks. Tasting of the all grain beer will be coming up soon as well. Okay? Take care. Be safe. Cheers.